A very good evening to one and all. So I welcome you all, uh, for today's session. And today's session, it's a bit different. It is a bit different from the earlier sessions. It's going to be more about the behavior of the students and many things, how to handle the children, behavior of the children, such sort of things. So today we have come upon with such a unique topic because we have dealt with methods of teaching. We have dealt with subject specific topics. We have dealt with anger management. Today let us look into some topic that is related to the students. Now also their capacities. And today's resource person is Mrs. Meenu Kaur Chawla. Ma'am is a senior most academic coordinator of a school based in Jhansi, and she is also a counselor, a student counselor, and she has got many more to add to her profile. So she will be introducing herself to you, and then we will start with the session. Meenu, ma'am, the stage is all yours.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, everyone. And first of all, I welcome all the people, from the bottom of my heart who have joined the webinar today. I'm Mrs. Meenu Kaur Chawla, based in Jhansi, married for like 27 years now, and into the teaching profession for past 20 years. And as sir has already told, like I am working as a senior coordinator. And also I have another post, which is like academic coordinator for classes pre-primary to 5. I am the counselor and I am into, I'm a certified author as well. I'm a practitioner, and this is just a small introduction about me. And I came upon this wonderful chance to have an interaction with all of you. So first of all, I welcome all of you from bottom of my heart before we start today's session. So, I just I request all of you to make the session as much interactive as possible, so that, even I enjoy talking to all of you. So, can I get a thumbs up, or can I see some cameras on, which promise me that, yes, the session is going to be really interactive? Thank you so much, Nina, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am, for turning the camera on. Thank you. The more the cameras are on, the more enthusiastic I feel. So if you all can turn your cameras on, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Arvinda, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So without much ado, we'll be starting with today's webinar. And I'll just ask you a question. There's a quote written which says, a good fragrance should have a certain personality that makes people identify the scent with you. Can anyone tell me what can be the reference of, me having used this quote? Can anyone out of my lovely audience today, can anyone tell me? Any participant would love to answer. Either in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and then can answer. Both the ways would work. Come on, my lovely people. This session is going to be very interesting only if you answer and let, we can, if we can make it more interactive, that will be really enjoyable. So anything which comes to your mind. Okay, I have an answer over here. A good fragrance helps in making the environment positive. Wonderful, Nina, ma'am. Anyone else would like to unmute and answer other than the chat box? Okay, so the quote itself, as like Nina ma'am has already defined it, that something unique which makes us leave our imprint, or you can call it as memories in people's mind, right? So I came upon this beautiful thought, and I can relate it with our real life. Like fragrance makes us feel identified, or it leaves an imprint in mind of other people about us. Same are our emotions. And this is what we are going to talk about today, but not, I mean, see, though the therapies and the things which I'm going to share with you people are very, very helpful for, engaging or dealing in the children in the classroom. But yes, some of the therapies can work with, us grown-ups as well. So here I come with the topic, catch it, check it, and change it. Why did I name this webinar like this? We'll be unfolding this as we move ahead. So, sir, can we move to the next slide, please? Yes, so here is just a small introduction. I am Mrs. Meenukar Chawla, MA MEd. I've done my MA in English and also in psychology. And I'm a certified NLP practitioner, resource person at SNTC, and a certified author. And the very first book of my life, I dedicated to all the teachers. Because during COVID, I felt that there are so many people, I mean, almost everyone talks about the students and their well-being, but there's no one who who becomes vocal for the teachers. So I thought, let me write my first book for the teachers. Sorry, Rachna ma'am, did you say something? Did I miss on something, Rachna ma'am? Okay. So that's why I wrote first book of my life for teachers. It's available on Amazon and Flipkart, which is named as Mental Wellness of a Teacher, Post-COVID Stress and Mental Wellness of a Teacher. And then in education industry, I've all completed 20 plus years and moving ahead towards my goal of, being identified not only as a mentor, but as a more as a helping hand. With this vision, I'm moving ahead. So can we, I request to please mute, and you can unmute yourself if you have to speak something in between. So can we move to the third slide, please?
I've muted them, ma'am. You can continue.
Yes, so the third slide. Yes. So here now I want answers from everyone. Sir, you have to unmute them. This is a slide which says, feel today. Each one of us sitting here right now may be feeling something or the other. Can anyone express me? Okay, exuberant. Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am. Positive, wonderful. Then,
happy to be part of this session, ma'am.
Sorry?
Happy to be part of this session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Anyone else would love to answer? I would love to hear answers from all of you if anyone is there to answer. Because most of the answers I've got like positive, exuberant, positive, and happy to be the part of this webinar. Like, and, but not only these three answers would work. If I can get some more answers, okay, going great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sir, can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes. So we came across different emotions, and the emotions which are being experienced by you people right now. Now, what will each emotion result in if I get an answer to this? Someone said exuberant, someone said good, I got an answer good, excited, going great. Then it is, I mean, there are so many answers which I'm getting. So can anyone tell me what will each emotion end or result into? Either in the chat box or you can unmute and answer. Both the ways would work for me. I would appreciate your participation. That will, boost my energy as well. So you people are my energizers today. The more you answer, the energetic I become. So may I know the answer to my question, please?
Ma'am, that's right. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So each emotion is the outcome of our thoughts and the way we are thinking. Because whatever we are thinking, it comes out through the emotions. And whatever we are doing, actions and reactions, action is the result of somebody else's reaction. So whatever we are thinking, we are finding out the result in that way only. If I'm sad, so I will be, finding out the answer in that mode only. So it depends on our thoughts, what I think. Thank you so
Wonderful,
much.
wonderful answer, wonderful answer. Anyone else? Okay, I got an answer in the chat box. Result in positivity and a productive day. It affects our mental and physical health. Wonderful answers, all of you. Sir, can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah. Here we come across a figure. It affects our emotions and health. Sukhvinder Kaur, yes, ma'am, you're very right. So that is what the base point of today's understanding is all about. See, we all go into the classroom each day, and before entering into the classroom, we have our own internal strifes going on. Someone is leaving the house. Maybe I left my house today in a little tensed mood. I had an argument with some passerby, or maybe I entered in the school late, because of which I had to face the consequences and all. So already I have some mindset with which I enter my workplace. And it becomes like, in Hindi we call it as, it becomes sone pe suhaga if we come across a noisy pack of children, right? So that is the point when our irritation knows no bounds. So I have tried my level best today to convey how much important is it to work on what we think, because as Nina ma'am has already said, like cognition is the key. The thoughts, what we think affects how we feel, and ultimately it affects what we do. This is the base point or the core of today's training. So before we start into the detailed thing of the session, I just wanted to, brief up you people with a little, pre-context thing, so that you're well aware of what actually are we going to deal into today. So it is very important. The very first thing is identifying and recognizing our thoughts, because the more we identify and more we recognize our thoughts, the more we are able to identify and recognize our emotions. And when these two things come in balance, behavior already comes in balance. So today's workshop, I have planned some worksheets also for you people, which I feel are going to be a great help for all of you in dealing in a classroom, which is we can call it as lightly we say, the classroom of rowdies or the naughty children, or the extra energy capsules which we have in our class. So this is all what we'll be talking about. Can we move to the next slide, please, sir? Yes. So there is, how many of you actually come into this, a child of your class behaves in a way that is really unbearable for you, and you're not able to find a reason behind it? How many of you come across, and I'm pretty sure about it, that almost all of us come across such children every day, almost every day. Can anyone share any experience with me and with all of us? Any experience? I would love to hear your experiences, the classroom experiences. How many of your teachers right now working in the school? You can raise your hands in this. You can show me the emotion there, or a thumbs up over here. How many of your actual classroom teachers who are still dealing with small children? And okay, Parul ma'am is there. Caroline ma'am is there. Wonderful. So, Caroline ma'am, can I hear an experience, your experience of, okay, Rashika ma'am says she is also a classroom teacher. Wonderful. So any one of you who has raised the hand or a thumbs up, like, can you just share any experience with all of us so that we have a better understanding of what next is to come? Sukhvinder ma'am, wonderful. Sukhvinder ma'am, would you like to answer? I would love to hear from you. Okay. Fine. So I hope there is someone to answer. If yes, then I'll pause. No worries, no worries. I'll continue that. See, the very first thing when a child annoys us comes to our mind is, why is the child behaving in a particular? Thank you, Simi ma'am. That it comes like, why is this child behaving in this particular manner, right? We are not able to find out anything, any particular reason. But then there comes in a word called as core belief. Now, what is a core belief? I hope almost all of us will be able to relate with the statement which I'm going to use now. Many a times we connect ourselves, not only ourselves, but the children around us with a statement. And that statement may be a negative statement or maybe a positive statement. We'll be talking about a statement which pulls our confidence down. Like suppose if someone, if I enter into my office and someone comes and says me, like, you're looking dull these days. I don't know what's wrong with you, but you're going dull. So slowly, every day if I'm hearing this, I will start developing a belief in my mind. Yes, there is certain dullness in me. And I'll be, relating myself with that belief that, yes, I am getting dull. Now, if I'm sensible enough to understand that I'm looking dull just because there are few factors around me, one way is this. The other way is I accept that, yes, I'm a dull person, right? And with this acceptance comes in a belief in my system. Sir, can you mute the participants for a while? I think there is some disturbance going on. Now with this, with
Ma'am, unmute yourself. I have muted everyone. Unmute yourself.
yes. So with this one sentence, I may develop a belief which may become my core belief. And this way, sometimes we identify our students with an adjective. A student who's not performing good in terms of marks is, you are a slow learner. You're a learner. These days, thankfully, we have better adjectives to be, to be calling to the children. But I remember when we were children, we used to hear, you're lazy, you're good for nothing, you cannot do this, this isn't your cup of tea. And knowingly, unknowingly, many times we fall into the trap of this adjective game. This adjective game, when we give it to a child every day, the child starts associating himself or herself with that belief, and that becomes his core belief. Now, once this core belief is formed, it develops negative automated thoughts. And this is a never-ending loop. Like, why is it a never-ending loop? Because it sometimes, if I give a particular work to a child whom I have already labeled as a lazy or as a person who's a slow writer, he will start he will, he or she will become the victim of that negative automated thoughts. Ma'am already says me, I'm a slow learner, I'm a slow writer, so I'll not be able to finish this. Probably I'll be scolded again. Ma'am will complain to my parents. And then they, these negative thoughts, once they start, there is no end to this loop. And this we all can relate very well. Once a thought hits us, then there is a loop. Then there is a continuous chain which keeps on coming. Now, provided it's a positive, there is no harm in it. But most of the time, we land up into a chain which is full of negative thoughts and negative interpretations. Now, once this belief system is formed, negative automated thoughts are generated. Now, then the child, we again put a child into a system of assumptions and rules. Like what? Very simple. You are a good boy only if you get 99 out of 100. You are a good girl only if you finish your lunch on time. You are a good student only if you participate in this. So we set certain criterias around the child. Now, when we set certain criterias or parameters around a child, that child is because his capability may not be made to fit into those parameters, into those, the bars which we have set for him. So then from there, the child develops a coping strategy. Now, that coping strategy is not always going to be a positive coping strategy. Most of the time, these children are those who become attention deficient. No one in the class is, teacher is teaching, and if the child is sitting at the back bench who already has earned himself a label of a slow learner, or probably a lazy boy, or a boy with a poor handwriting or something like that, he's already sitting at the back bench, and now his coping strategy is, I need attention because he's attention deficient. So what will that child do? That child will start showing some or the other thing in form of hyperactivity. I want a thumbs up if this happens in your class, that you're teaching in a very flowy manner, and then there comes a child who distracts you. For no obvious reason, the child distracts you. He may come to you and say, ma'am, I want to go to the washroom. Ma'am, I'm thirsty. Ma'am, he's disturbing me. Ma'am, this, ma'am, that. How many of you come across such kind of children in your class? You can answer me by showing a thumbs up. Come on, please, my dear people. Wonderful. Okay. Daily, Rashika ma'am writes, daily, Sudhamati ma'am shows me a thumbs up. Rekha Rathore ma'am shows me a thumbs up. Wonderful. So that means every day, almost every day. Simi Thomas, Ashwini Sinu, wonderful, wonderful. That means each day we come across such children who are there to distract us. But now, okay, Sharon ma'am, but now we know that there is a reason behind, because they are not getting the attention due to some lack in them, but they're craving for that attention. So they will develop certain pattern of behavior, which may be okay for them, because by adopting that behavior, they're getting what they are wanting. But for us, it becomes a pain in the neck. And that is the circle, which answers what makes children adopt a certain behavior. Now, I'm not saying this is always the reason. Sometimes the children are hyperactive because of some genetic factors in them, for which we have different identification strategies, different identification ways through which, that's an elaborate study. So I'm not going to associate that over here. But this is just a general briefing up of what makes a child, and to an extent, sometimes we elderly also behave that way. Does it not happen with us? If a group of friends is sitting and I am continuously being ignored, definitely I'll do something to grab their attention towards me. Yeah, I am also here. So if by not my positive ways, definitely I'll do something to annoy them. I'll do something to irritate them. So no matter what, maybe they'll be speaking rudely to me, but at least they'll speak to me, right? So this is what the actual process of a core belief, then negative automated thoughts, then believing assumption and rules, and then a coping strategy adopted by a child does, and thus forms a certain behavior in a child. I'm pausing here for a minute. Yes, ma'am. Upbringing is also one of the reason at certain extent. Yes, definitely. Because sometimes, we being parents, we are so busy into our, and I was telling sir, I'm going to take a workshop on parenting also. A well-bred child behaves well, wonderful. But we all have a parenting template inside us. And from where do we get that parenting template? From our own parents. the way my parents behaved with me while they were raising me up is my parental template, which is going to affect my, my strategies or my ways of upbringing my child a lot. So there are n number of factors. There are social factors, there are physical factors, there are genetic factors, there are family factors. Then, then there definitely are self-image factors. Yes, definitely. So, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry if I read your name wrong. So, Janya, ma'am, right? So there are so many factors which contribute into child's behavior in a particular way. But right now, I'm talking about the most disturbing behavior of the children in the class. And definitely, we cannot, keep aside the baggage which the child brings from his or her own home. We definitely cannot forget about that child, that baggage is invisible, but the child is carrying that baggage constantly. There is a parental hope, there is a self-image hope, then there is a peer pressure, then there is societal pressure. There are so many things going on around that baggage, though is invisible. But being teachers, being counselors, we cannot forget that yes, there is an invisible baggage, probably because of the overweight of that baggage, the child is behaving that way. Right? I hope this slide is very clear. If this slide is clear, may I get a thumbs up? Or if anyone has a question to be asked, you may ask once I finish with my explanation. So now, after having understood, thank you, Sharon ma'am, after having understood why does a child behave in a particular way, we move ahead to a very, very useful therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, why is this cognitive behavioral therapy promoted so much? Because at the first place, it deals mostly, it is focused on more of talking therapies. The more you talk, the more you unfold a child, the more you build a rapport, the more you get to know a child. That is why cognitive behavioral therapy is, thank you, Sukhvinder ma'am, this cognitive behavioral therapy is adapted and used by most of the teachers. And bygone are the thank you, Shikha ma'am, bygone are the days when we were merely teachers. We are no more teachers. We are in this era where we are less of teachers and more of counselors. And I'm pretty sure the people who are listening to me today may be, learned people in their fields. And there's no denial, there's no doubt in this. So, that is why we are into this need where we should be learning. The first thing is, there is no learning without understanding. And when I say the word understanding, not understanding the content with which you're prepared, but understanding what my child is feeling right now. I cannot fill a vessel which is already full to the brim. If I have to pour something in that vessel, I have to empty that vessel a little bit. Only then I'll be able to pour what actually I want to pour into it, right? So there comes a technique that is a cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, why is it liked by people? At the first place, it is an active therapy and focuses on problems. Second, it shares a common vocabulary. The words which are simply understood and accepted by the parents also. I'm very clear about this. See, I'm talking to a person who knows only Hindi. And if I'm continuously talking to that person in English, I am pretty sure that person will not be able to get anything said by me because that person is not aware of the language spoken by me. So similar way, when we are conveying something to the parent or even something to the child, I have to be very sure about it. Which vocabulary am I making the use of, right? Without making use of easy and understandable vocabulary, I will not be able to leave any impact on anyone. And then third thing, which makes it liked by most of us, is goal-oriented. It does not dwell much into this and that. is straightforward. It finds out a problem, it works on that problem, and that problem is like my goal. I have to find out a sustainable solution to my problem. That is my goal, which cognitive behavioral therapy does at the best. Can we move to the next slide, please, sir? Yes. So before we start with the discussion of the techniques, here, like if anyone has any kind of a doubt or any question, you may ask me. Okay. So fine. I'll check my chat box once. Thank you, Sharon ma'am. Thank you. Thank you everyone who's answering in the chat box and making the session really interactive. I'm enjoying this session a lot, and I hope you people are also enjoying it, right? So then here comes some useful and some easy techniques for teachers. Suppose, thank you so much. Thank you, Arvinder ma'am. Suppose there is a child who is really, who has high anger issues, and you're not able to find out how should I control the anger issues of that child. Comes in handy the thermometer technique. Now, why have I selected only those therapies, very simple therapies, and the worksheet based on thermometer technique is attached with the feedback form. So once you fill that feedback form, you'll be getting an access to 2 or 3 worksheets, which I have pasted along with the feedback form. Now, why thermometer technique? See, thermometer is something which is a device which we use in classroom every now and then. In science class, if we have to teach, because world is moving ahead towards experiential learning. And in experiential learning, we teach the children, you know, rather than cramming, we teach them how to make practical use of the things around them. So because already they're aware of what does a thermometer do, a thermometer tells us the rise in the temperature. So here, the worksheet which I've shared for you has a thermometer, and the instructions are given on it. You have to tell the children to start coloring it and to see to what extent that color goes. If a child colors it full, then you have to tell, like, see, your emotional thermometer, your anger thermometer is so high. And when a temperature becomes unbearable, the thermometer may be destroyed. This is how slowly, it will not work in one go. Mind me, whatever therapies we are discussing or whatever simple techniques we are discussing over here, they will not work. They will not do wonders in one go. You have to be patient enough. You have to deal with the children every day, depending upon what's the mood of my child today, identifying it, understanding it, and then, you know, sparing 5 minutes out of your important teaching learning time period, and then, you know, dealing the child with this. Because most of the time, you know, what I have seen teachers doing, a child has a distractor. Probably there is a physical distractor in the hand of that child. So we snatch that physical distractor, but we are not able to take that distraction away from the mind of child. So being a teacher, my first effort, being a mentor, my first effort should be to take that distractor out of the mind of my child. So to take that distractor out of the mind of that child, I may be in need of different, as we use teaching learning material, over here, we may be in need of so many different elements, about out of which few I have mentioned over here. Then we talk about visual stimuli. Suppose there is a child in your class who is, whose distraction point is, he may be otherwise speaking a lot. But when you tell that child to come out and speak on a given topic, the child will not speak. And most of the time, see, we have different type of learners. We have kinesthetics, we have audio learners, we have visual learners. So their
Excuse me,
visual stimuli.
Meenoma. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, sir. No,
Dear
no,
participants, within 1 minute, this meeting is going to end. So rejoin with the same link again so that we have a lot more knowledge to gain from Mrs. Meenu Kaur. And we will be sharing certain worksheets also. That is how this session is going to stand unique. For you people to practice, there are certain worksheets which we are going to share. So that's how it is. So do not forget to rejoin with the same link.
Yes. So there you can, you can draw some visual stimuli. That can be a cartoon, that can be an animated creature, anything which initiates a child to speak out. Then there are narratives and storytelling, wherein you can just either you can draw some pictures on the